Watch all get praise, esteem, and honor. Live in Elohim. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. He is up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Allah in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. But another shall come in his own name, and you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and receive not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. If you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. If you believe his writings, how shall you believe my words? Proverbs chapter 17 and 6. Proverbs 17 and 6. Thank the Lord. Here we go. Here we be. Back at it again. Back at it again. Proverbs 17 and 6. Sons are the crown of old men, and the esteem of sons are their fathers. Over here to Proverbs 20 and 7. A just man walk in his integrity, and his sons are blessed after him. So let's take a look at integrity. I think I mentioned it the other day. That is calm. That is contained in that particular verse. So you know that it is a Sadak Halak Tam. Again, that's Tau and Mean. So it's the covenant of the Ruach, which will allow you to be complete. But I want y'all to take a trip with me to Psalm 17. 17 and 1. Psalm 17 and 1. Hear the right, O Yahuwah. Attend unto my cry, give ear unto my prayer, that go not out of vain lips. So when we look at right again, it's Sadak, righteousness. Remember, right? The just man walks in completeness. David is writing here in this psalm that you will hear the prayer of those that are righteous. And that prayer does not go out of deceitful lips. See, you know what? Ezekiel 33. Deceitful lips. Ezekiel 33. You know, it's always funny to me, you know, I see people 33 and 30. People, you know, say, oh, I used to be Hebrew or this, that, and the third. And again, it's mainly because they got caught up in the aspect of being Hebrew versus serving Elohim. And what ends up happening is they begin to disrespect Elohim in a very, very gross fashion. And most don't even realize that that's what they're doing, because the things that they were saying and doing were coming out of deceitful lips. Their heart was never with Elohim, though they made the profession with their mouth. Ezekiel 33 and 30. Also, you son of man, the son of your people are still talking against you by the walls and in the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, every one to his brother, saying, come, I pray you, hear what the word is that come forth from Yahuwah. And they come into you as the people come, and they sit before you as my people, and they hear your words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart go after their covetousness. And see, that's just why that their prayers and their statements are coming out of deceitful lips, because they're only serving for Yahuwah for what they think that they can get, or the chance to revel in, oh, we Israelites. A lot of dudes walk away. Like I seen this individual post on in regards to saying, okay, people who say they're spiritual say that there is no morality. But see, I've already known this because I studied all this stuff in prison. And even before I went to prison, people who say they're spiritual and into metaphysics and things of that nature, they don't have any rules. And they consider rules to be oppressive. That is the mindset of a woman, because they don't want any structure or any discipline. They want free reign to behave as they wish, and then able to make judgment calls on what is wrong if they deem it to be wrong, versus a comprehensive standard and code and conduct of behavior. This is why many people who follow that path usually don't have very many fruitful relationships with people. You know what I'm saying? And it's especially, I can remember being in prison reading about Christ consciousness and things of that nature. It's pure and utter folly. And I say that just because it's not rooted in anything. And what they try to do is tie it to the son of Elohim. Or, Yahusha was with the sages in India. He did this and he did that, because they have to try to tie it to him to get people to accept it, because it doesn't stand on its own. See, some people will say Christianity is used as an oppressive tool. Christianity is not used as an oppressive tool in the United States of America. That is pure and utter folly. Because you can believe and do what you want to do over here. In the Middle East, they don't follow the Bible, they follow the Quran. So they mess with people who don't follow the Quran. See, a lot of things is like I said, African people do what they want. They worship and serve what they want. It's just that they know the overwhelming population identifies as Christian. Therefore, it is easier to exploit them. You know what I'm saying? I was telling my homeboy this here the other day, man. Dudes like to get drunk, get high. And if you were to step on whatever you want to call it, church grounds, synagogue grounds, I'm not gonna get caught up in this moment in time. And somebody was there and they were high and they were drunk. You would not take them seriously. If you come from the street, you're not taking that seriously. As forth as this is something to follow. And what ends up happening is people blame Elohim and his word for the conduct of men. But just like East mentioned the other day, though, people have expectations in their mind of Elohim, and then when he doesn't meet their expectation in their time, they get disappointed. That's what a lot of people do with people. You create an expectation, and I've said this too many times, that no one can ever meet, because you placed a person on a pedestal at a loft that they can never achieve, and then you blame them. Or like I've told y'all for years, most people look at Yahuwah and they want him to behave and do things as they would. Yahuwah is Yahuwah, and he does things as he pleases. Let's continue. Verse 31 again. And they come unto you as the people come, and they sit before you as my people, and they hear your words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart go after their covetousness. And lo, you are unto them as one is very, them as a very lovely song of one of a pleasant voice that can play well on an instrument. For they hear your words, but they do them not. And when this come to pass, lo, it will come. They shall know that a prophet have been among them. Like I say, man, been telling y'all for years. You come back to Psalm 17. People feel like as long as I don't eat pork and I'm keeping Sabbath, boy, I'm on point. I don't point because your heart's not right. See, notice he said their heart went after their covetings. Their heart tended to go after what they desired. That's what get people caught up and crossed up and pulled away from Elohim every single solitary time. The word for covetous there is betzah, and this is profit, unjust gain acquired by violence or plunder or lucre, dishonest gain. So the thing that you sit back and you look at it is that their heart is looking to go after things that they acquire dishonestly. Now, of course, we could definitely go and equate that to Yahusha right now, if we so chose, because we know that the scribes and the Pharisees sought to keep their place in nation and to do it to profit and gain by violence. See, a lot of individuals always want to talk about, I keep telling y'all, the white man going to do this here. The people who are going to do the most to you are the people who profess to believe in the word, the people who look like you. People of other nations don't have a reason to bother you with the word because it doesn't pertain to them. It doesn't pertain to them into that juncture where they would be that highly offended, especially now when we look at the world and the state that it's in right now. Most people are not dealing with the scriptures anymore. They're walking away from it. When you're talking about en masse, most people are walking to humanism and new age and ethos and quote unquote spirituality and witchcraft and all of these different type of things, and they're coming up with multiple different ways to justify doing so. So to think that the whole entire world is just up in arms because people believe in the scriptures is asinine. Most of the people who have the strongest disdain are people who once dealt with it, who feel the need to ridicule those who still do. Because I'm telling you, the average white person doesn't care. They're doing what it is that they do. They don't really care. People are not going to care until what you believe begins to impact them. So once the beast begins to say he's God and this, that, there, and the third, and you seem to be right. See the inkling into this here, why you think all these things is the mark of the beast, is this example of how people deal with these masks. I seen a lady say, I don't like to go to the Publix in Riverside because they don't make anybody wear their mask. She said, but when I go to the Publix on Orange Park, I can go to the manager and he'll walk up to somebody and he'll give them one if they're not wearing it. That is an example of the mindset of where people will seek to cajole, coerce, and compel people to go against Elohim to be a part of the group. That's what people don't understand. Human beings are real big on group think. When you don't think like the mass, they think that there's something wrong with you, and people feel the need to compel you to fall in line. And when you begin to profess something that's going to rock the boat, per se, that is when you'll be hated by all nations for his name's sake, because then your belief system, if you would be affecting them. Because I promise you, these white folks don't care nothing about you changing your name to an Israelite name on your Facebook page. I promise they do not care. They don't care about you walking around those streets with no fringes on. They don't even care that you keep the Sabbath. Then people don't care what you believe, because how does that impact their life, their everyday going in and out? Yeah, you might think white folks sitting in their house shaking in their boots, I hope they never find out they're Israelites. You're a special type of stupid. You are dealing in delusions of grandeur. And the cliche term that's used, you're dealing in some form of narcissism, because you have exalted your some level of self-importance in your own mind to think someone is fearful for you because you declare a bloodline, that which declaration has no bearing on their life. So why would they care? Oh, because once we find out, then whose will is going to be accomplished with or without you, son. Whether you know you're an Israelite or not, that is not going to have any bearing or effect on the fulfilling of the words of the living Elohim. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Word, definitely. It has nothing to do with it. When you begin to understand that, you won't get caught up in the folly. Psalm 17 and 2, though. Let my sentence come forth from your presence. Let your eyes behold the things that are equal. When we look at equal, according to Mashal, evenness, uprightness, straightness, equity. You know, something that is in agreement, things that are right. Simple as that. Mean, Yah, Shan, and Raj, things that are right. He said, let your eyes behold the things that are right. Remember, because his eyes are too pure to behold evil. You have proved my heart. You have visited me in the night. You have tried me, and you shall find nothing. I have purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. Now we're going to look at that, because this is going to bring us back the things that we have talked about before. When you have proved, you have Matan, that is to examine, of course, to try. You come back around with Saraf, which is again to try, to smelt, and to refine. So you have tried me, you visited me in the night. Visited is Pakad, but y'all know what this is. Come over here to Luke. You got to remember, this is Yahusha being tried. He's proving him out. And then you'll see that you will find nothing, and that he has not transgressed. He has not went over with his mouth. And you're going to see that in regards to this is an inclination to Moses. But Luke, 22, man. Yeah, 22 and 39. And he came out and went as he wont to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples also followed him. And when he was at that place, he said unto them, pray ye that you enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Abba, if you be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. And there appeared a Malachim unto him from Shamahim, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer, he came unto his disciples and found them sleeping for sorrow. Now pause, right? We see right here that this Malachim is an example of Yahuwah visiting him in the night. And he tried him, and they found nothing. There was nothing to find or to attain, and that he purposed that with his mouth he would not transgress. You see that in regards, now purpose is Zamzam, or Zamam, excuse me. It is to have a thought or plan or to consider. He had no thought or plan to transgress with his lips. Now, when you sit back and you look at that, right, you can see that in regards to him saying, Abba, not my will, but your will be done. What he told Peter, put up your sword. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Know you not that I can call on 12 legions of Malachim? When he told Pilate, you have no power over against me at all unless it were given you from heaven. See, these are the things where a lot of individuals end up, when we're looking at transgress, we're looking at, and I mentioned this here, how this relates to Moses. And it's avar, if you remember, right, to pass over or to alienate, to go on before, or to pass into another's hands, or basically to go over your bounds. Well, that's what happened with Moses when he told him to speak to the rock and he struck it and he said, you rebels. He went over his bounds and he transgressed with his mouth because he went over what he was supposed to do. Well, what allowed him? Remember, they say he spoke presumptuously. What caused him to do this? Come over here. What that is? The book of Numbers, I believe. Trying to remember. I think it is in Numbers when he did it. He did not strike the rock, got himself in trouble. Numbers 20 and 7. Numbers 20 and 7. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, take the rod and gather you the assembly together. You and Aaron your brothers, speak you unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and shall bring forth to them water out of the rock. So shall you give the congregation and their beasts drink. Moses took the rod from before Yahuwah as he commanded him. Moses gathered the congregation before the rock, and he said unto them, hear now, you rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand with his rod, he smote the rock twice, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. Yahuwah spake unto Moses and Aaron, because you believe me not, sanctify me in the eyes of the sons of Yasharal. Therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. This is the water of Meribah, because the sons of Yasharal strove with Yahuwah, and he was sanctified in them. So he went over his bounds, ended up transgressing with his mouth, because he didn't do what he was told. But what ended up causing him to do that is what was going on around him. See, when you look at Yahushua, he's already known that people are coming to kill him. They're seeking to strive and contend with him. But he did not transgress with his mouth. He didn't go over or alienate himself from Elohim with his lips. That is something to consider when you're dealing with certain things, to not do as the such. See, look at verse 4 of Psalm 17. See, what let you know, we're taking a long winding road. A long winding road to establish Proverbs 17 and 6 and Proverbs 20 and 7, to make them meld, mesh, and bend, so that you can understand that the just walks in his completeness, so that his sons are blessed after him, so that we can see that the esteem of sons is their father. And we kind of talked already about how sons are a crown unto the old man. But we know that the son is an esteem to the father. We know that Yahushua is the esteem of his Abba and Shamaim. Therefore, when we walk in Mashiach, we will be the esteem of our Abba, who is Yahushua himself. This will allow us to understand why we would be blessed after him, because we will have the ability to inherit, which if we do not get tonight, we will get on the morrow. Verse 4 of Psalm 17, concerning the works of men by the word of your lips, I have kept me from the path of the destroyer. Listen to what he said concerning the works. You look at the reward of men. Pahula, pay, ayin, lamad, and hey. So you can behold, experience the words of the shepherd, and you can get a reward. Because that's what you got for concerning the works of men. Because the word of the lips that have kept you from the path of the destroyer, which is Peretz, which is the violent one, the breaker, the robber, or the murderer. John chapter 10. And so it said is to keep you from the murderer, from the tyrant, from the destroyer. John 10 and 6. So what you said, right? When you sit back and you look at the reward of men by the word, it keeps you from the murderer and the robber, because that's what it said. It doesn't say concerning works. I want you to keep that in mind. It's just works. The reward of men by the word of your lips. Remember that. That's what verse 4 says. By the reward of men, by the word of your lips, it keeps you from the way of the devil. Let's continue. John 10 and 6. This parable spake Yahushua unto them, but they understood not what things that they were which he spake unto them. Then said Yahushua unto them again, truly, truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief come not but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd give his life for the sheep. So understand that, right? What does this also take us back to? Romans chapter 6. Romans 6 and 21. What fruit had you in those things whereof you are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. But now being made free from sin and become servants to Elohim, you have your fruit under Kadash and the end everlasting life. For the wages of sin is death. The gift of Elohim is eternal life through Yahushua HaMashiach, our Lord. So you know the reward of men by the word. It spares you from the path or the way of the devil. Verse 5 of Psalm 17. Hold up my goings in your path, that my footsteps slip not. I have called upon you, for you will hear me. O Elohim, incline your ear unto me and hear my speech. Show your marvelous loving kindness, O you that save by the right hand, them which put their trust in you from those that rise up against them. So remember, right, he told them, say the Son of Man is to be betrayed into the hand of sinners. He knew that his Father would save him and that he would hear his speech. And that's in John 17, and we'll be going through some things in John 17 shortly. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me under the shadow of your wings from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. Remember, your troops encircled me. Those others coming out with swords and staves. They are enclosed in their own fat with their mouth. They speak proudly. When you look at enclosed, you have cigar. They're shut up in their own fat, in their own carnal ways. That's Caleb for fat. And the richest and the choice part, the best of their pride. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth, like as a lion that is greedy of its prey, as it was a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Yahuwah, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is your sword. From men which are your hand, O Yahuwah, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, whose belly you fill with your hid treasure. They are full of sons, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold your face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with your likeness. Now, see, we're looking at something a little different here, right? Listen what he said, right? He said, men which are your hand, O Yahuwah, from men of the world. Now, when you got men of the world, that is Kaled, that is the world of basically an age, a short time, a duration of life, not the whole world in that regard, but a period of time. He say for men during that time that have their portion in this life, whose belly you fill with hid treasures. Let's look at a hidden thing when we look at that. That's the fin, right? Sod, pay, uh, yod, and noon. So we see that the word or the works of the word is the way of life. That's a hidden treasure, a thing that is not readily manifested. See, a lot of people see, oh, you spiritualize and this, that, there, and the third. But that's how Elohim works. He gives his treasures to who he sees fits to give them to. The individuals think everybody has this. Remember, the gospel was a hidden treasure. It was not revealed unto all, but unto a few. Now, when he says that they're full of sons and leave the rest of their substance to their babes or to a boy, to a child, he said, but me, I'm going to behold your face in righteousness, and I shall be satisfied when I awake with your likeness. We got kahoots for awake, which is to wake up. You know that? You got koof, you got oo, you got sod. So now you sit back and you see how the last Adam has secured you to the way of life. But I want you to think on likeness. And it's a word we didn't talk about before. Tamuna, a form, an image, or representation, or a semblance. And you know what that's going to take us to, Job 19. Job 19. So when you look at men from a duration of time, who have their portion in his life, he fills them up with a hidden treasure, and he has them full of sons, and they leave the rest of their belongings to a boy. I want you to come after that with Galatians 4, because we'll look at that twofold fashion after we read this Job 19 and 25. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see Elohim, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another, though my reins be consumed within me. Because he said, I will behold your face in righteousness, and I will be satisfied when I awake, when I see your resemblance, when I behold your face, when I resurrect from the dead. Now let's come over here to what it was. Galatians 4, in regards to verse 14. Remember, right? It say, men, which are your hand. So when he said you sit back and you look at from men, or moth in this regard, a male, a man, those are his hands. We know that Yahusha was son of Adam or became a man. That was his hand. And from the men of a period of time, they have their portion in this life. And he filled their belly with the hidden treasure, or he filled them with the word. And when they were full of sons, and they leave the rest of their substance to a boy. So let's look at that, right? Galatians 4 and 1, if you would. If I can actually get us down there, maybe we can have some progress on this journey. Galatians 4 and 1. Now I say that at the heir, as long as he is a son, differ nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. But he is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. Even so, when we were sons, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time was come, Elohim sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. So again, to redeem you for those who are under the law, you're under the curses and the instructions of the law, per what we discussed a few months back in Exodus chapter 24. You needed to be reconciled from that. You broke it. See, dudes are so dumb, and I just heard a nigga talking about this the other night, that every time they see redeemed from the law or something, they automatically go to thinking about all the instructions, the statutes, the commandments, the ordinances. When he's referring to a specific ordinance that you needed to be redeemed from. You broke the covenant. You needed to be redeemed from the law of breaking the covenant. This is simple common sense. No, let me not even say common sense. This is simple spiritual sense if Elohim is giving you the spiritual acuity to understand. You have to have, because for those who understand, like you said, my words are plain to those who will understand. So to us, it's just simple. It's common sense. It's plain. But to those who don't have understanding, it's very difficult to understand. He's saying, because you are sons, Elohim sent forth the Ruach of his son into your hearts, crying, Abba, wherefore you are no more a servant, but a son. And if a son, then an heir of Elohim through Mashiach. Listen what he tell you, right? Because he came to redeem you, you are now being able to be adopted to be a son, so you could be a crown of old men, because sons are a crown of old men. So therefore, that your esteem could be in your father. As you see here, crying out that he sent forth the Ruach of his son into your hearts, and you're crying out, Abba. Also taking it in because this just man walked as his integrity, as we've kind of touched on loosely in Psalm 17. His sons are blessed after him, as you're reading here in Galatians chapter 4. Because all of these things are about the one major thing that Yahushua came to do, and that was to make you a son of Elohim. That is to make you a son of Elohim. Dudes don't like to hear it. People don't like to discuss it. People like to try to quantify it and qualify it in a fashion that fits for them. But we can only become sons of Elohim based off the will of Elohim according to the word of Elohim. Psalms 113. Psalms 113. Hallelujah. Praise, O you, servants of Yahuwah. Praise the name of Yahuwah. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah from this time forth and forevermore. From the rising of the sun until the going down of the same, Yahuwah's name is to be praised. Yahuwah is high above all nations and esteem above Shamahim. Who is like unto Yahuwah Elohim? Who dwell on high? Who humble himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in earth? Now see, pause, right? Humble here, you have shafel. That is to become low, to be humble, to be abased, to humiliate, to sit in a lower place, to show abasement. Sean, Pei, and Lamad. Yahushua was consumed by the word. Philippians chapter 2, because he humbled himself and he became abased to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth. In fact, before I read Philippians chapter 2, I want you to come to Matthew chapter 5. Let me do that, because Matthew 5 popped in my mind first. Matthew 6, actually. That popped in my mind first. 6 and 9. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray you, our Abba, which art in Shamahim, Kaddai be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That's what we came there for. Because he said someone humbled themselves to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth. Let's just look at the words of the Lord. Let's just look at what the Lord had to say about it. John chapter 6. Matter of fact, I'm right here by John 3. Let me do that first. 3 and 9, if you would, John 3 and 9. Yahushua answered and said unto him, are you a master of Yahweh? I'm sorry. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Yahushua answered and said unto him, are you a master of Yasharal, and know not these things? Truly, truly, I say unto you. We speak that we do know and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. If I've told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man have ascended up to Shamahim, but he that come down from Shamahim, even the Son of Man, which is in Shamahim. So what is the point? He just told him that he beheld the things in Shamahim, along with beholding things that are in the earth. One more statement from the Lord, John chapter 6 before Philippians chapter 2, because it said, who has humbled himself? Who has been humiliated? You already know it says about humiliation in Isaiah 53. Y'all know what it say about humiliation in Isaiah 53, don't you? John chapter 6. 6 and 60. Many therefore of his disciples, when they heard this, said, this is a hard saying, who can hear it? When Yahushua knew in himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, does this offend you? What and if you shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? It is the Ruach that quicken, the flesh profit nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. But there are some of you that believe not. For Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who should betray him. And he said, therefore said I unto you that no man can come unto me except it will give it unto him of my hour. But this is the key point, right? Come over here to Acts chapter 8, verse 30. In regards to the humiliation. Let me see if it translates what it's got for humiliation in it don't have humiliation spread out like that. So Acts, that was in my brain. See, in the actual passage, it said he was taken from prison. So when we look at prison, of course, we have otser, which is bareness of the womb, restraint, coercion, things of that nature, or barren or oppression. So just keep that in mind. And otser here is ayin, sod, and rosh, so you would know the way of the highest. Just keep that in mind in regard to barren. Praise the Lord. That works out even better. So Acts chapter 8, right, verse 30, verse 29, actually, well, 28. He said he was returning and sitting in his chariot and read Isaiah the prophet. The Ruach said unto Philip, go near and join yourself to that chariot. Philip ran to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah and said, understand you what you read? He said, how can I except some man should guide me? He desired that Philip would come sit with him. The place of the scripture which he read was this: he was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb before his shearer. So he opened he not his mouth. In his humiliation, his judgment was taken away. Who shall declare his generation? For his life is taken away from the earth. Now come over here to Isaiah 53, right? Verse 7, because this is what he quote. That's going to work well for what we're going to read in Psalms 113 with this barren womb. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. Who shall declare his generation? He was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. So again, that's otser for prison, means barren. That's what that you got right there, right? Oh, wrong place. They have humiliation in the book of Acts. Here is prison. It's otser, barrenness of womb, constraint, and coercion. Come over here to Proverbs 30. 30 and 16. '30 and 15. The horse leech have two daughters crying, give, give. There are three things that are never satisfied, yet four things say, not it is enough. The grave and the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and the fire that say not it is enough. Notice that he said there are four things that say not it is enough, and three things that are never satisfied: the grave and the barren womb. Of course, again, we know that that's otser for barren. Of course, it's rakam here for womb. So think about this here, right? I want you to come back to Psalms 113. Psalms 113 with this barren womb. Oh, we got to grab Philippians 2. Let's take a trip over that, right? Because who is he that humbled himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth? And we know who did that, Yahushua HaMashiach. So let his name be esteemed, so that Abba and Shamahi may be esteemed as well. Philippians 2 and 5. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Mashiach Yahushua, who being in the form of Elohim, thought it not robbery to be equal with Elohim, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found fashioned as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the stake. Wherefore Elohim also have highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahushua every knee should bow of the things in Shamahim and the things in the Arats and the things under the Arats, and every tongue should confess that Yahushua HaMashiach is Lord, to the esteem of Elohim Abba, which takes us back to the esteem of sons is their father. All of these things will be even more crystal clear, you who are willing, by the time we complete this. Psalms 113, verse 7. Psalms 113, verse 7. He says, he raises up the poor out of the dust and lift the needy out of the dunghill. So we have the resurrection of the dead, that he might set him with princes, even with the princes of his people. That's setting him with the apostles, if you would. He make the barren woman to keep house and to be a joyful mother of sons. Hallelujah. Now, see, that's where we at right here with it. Now we see right here, barren woman. We got a car, a woman who is sterile, barren. Ayin, Kuf, and Raj. Ayin, Kuf, and Raj. Now, with that being said, of course, we're going to take this to Sarah, the barren woman. We're also going to take it to Samuel's mother with the barren woman. And Psalms 113 is what we will conclude for the evening, because we will not proceed past this point. So we got Ayin, Kuf, and Raj. You know the last Adam, because he came to be able to take that barren woman to cause her to keep a house. Y'all know what keep is. That is your shab. Now you are able to dwell, sit, and remain, and to inhabit a house. That's what Yahuwah does. He takes this barren woman and makes her a joyful mother of sons. They're strengthened the Ruach because of M. The son is life because of Ben. And now let's say hallelujah. So let's take this here. Let me do this. How do I want to do this here? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. Let's go to Hebrews 11, then to Romans chapter 4. Do we need to go to Genesis? Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Hebrews 11, verse 11. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed and was delivered a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. And that again, right? She had the strength to conceive seed, the same way that you seen Yahushua was strengthened for him to conceive seed, the same way how we talked about that in regards to Rachel and the midwife. Come over here to Genesis chapter 18. Let's look at it in the law for those who may not be aware. Genesis 18 and 9. And they said unto him, where is Sarah your wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. He said, I will certainly return unto you according to the time of life. Lo, Sarah your wife shall have a son. Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it would cease to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Let's look at that when it says it ceased to be with her after the manner of women, just for informational purposes. When you got that, you got Orach for manner, which is the way of life, the way of living, the way or the path. So, of course, she couldn't have a baby. Therefore, Sarah laughed within herself, saying, I am waxed old. Shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? Yahuwah said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? No, she said and asked the question, am I going to do that? Truly indeed. Is anything too hard for Yahuwah? At the time appointed, I will return unto you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but you did laugh. No, don't lie to you. I heard you. I know you did it. Let's sit back and look at that in that key point. Let's go to Romans chapter 4. Because this is a barren woman. And he said he make a barren woman keep a house, to sit back and dwell and abide in the house. Well, you have to sit back and look at it. Yasharal is a barren woman. Jerusalem is a barren woman. She couldn't have no kids. Romans 4 and 70. As it is written, I've made you a father of many nations, before whom he believed, even Elohim, who quickened the dead and called those things which be, not as though they were, who against hope believed in hope that he might become the father of many nations, according to that which was spoken, so shall your seed be. And being not weak in faith, he considered not his own body now dead, where when he was about 100 years old, neither yet the deadness of Sarah's womb. He staggered not at the promise of Elohim through unbelief, but was strong in faith, giving esteem to Elohim, and being fully persuaded that what he had promised he was able also to perform, and therefore it was imputed to him for righteousness. Now it was not written for his sake alone that was imputed to him, but for us also, to whom it shall be imputed, if we believe on him that raised up Yahushua our Lord from the dead, who was delivered for our offenses and raised again for our transgressions. So again, what does Sarah womb point to? Life coming from death. Her womb was barren and dead, and in Isaac shall your seed be called. And the seed of the promise came forth from a dead womb. The same way that the seed of the promise, being the son of Elohim, came forth from the womb, meaning the heart of the earth or the grave. Let's continue on in 1 Samuel chapter 1. First Samuel 1 and 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramoth Zophim of Mount Ephraim. His name was Elkanah, the son of Joram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, Ephrathite. He had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah. The name of the other was Peninnah. Peninnah had sons, but Hannah had no sons. And this when man went up out of the city yearly to worship and sacrifice unto Yahuwah of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons, Eli, Hophni, and Phinehas, the priests of Yahuwah, were there at the time. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife and all her sons and daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah. But Yahuwah had shut up her womb. Her adversary also provoked her sore for her to make her fret, because Yahuwah had shut up her womb. When we look at fret, it is Ra'am, cause her to tremble, rage a little bit. So of course we go to year by year. She asked for a son, and that she would give her son to Elohim in regards to him being a Nazarite. I want you to drop down to verse 19. We'll make it verse 17. Then Eli answered and said, go in shalom. And the Elohim of Yasharal grant you your petition that you have asked of him. She said, let your handmaid find grace in your sight. So the woman went away and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. They rose up in the morning early and worshipped before Yahuwah and returned and came to their house to Ramah. Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and Yahuwah remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass when the time was come, about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son and called his name Samuel, because I have asked him of Yahuwah. And the man of Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto Yahuwah the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the son be weaned. Then I will bring him, that he may appear before Yahuwah and abide there forever. Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, do what seem you good, tarry until you've weaned it. Only Yahuwah established his word. So the woman abode, gave her son suck until she weaned it. When she weaned him, she took him up with her 3 bullocks, 1 ephah of flour, a bottle of wine, brought him unto the house of Yahuwah and Shiloh, and the child was young. They slew the bullock, brought the child to Eli, and said, oh, my Lord, as your soul live, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by you here, praying unto Yahuwah. For this child I prayed, and Yahuwah hath given me my petition, which I have asked of him. Therefore also have I lent him to Yahuwah. As long as he lived, he shall be lent to Yahuwah. And he worshipped Yahuwah there. When we look at lent, it is sha'al. It is to be given by the request, or to make over, or to give, or to lend. Sean, Aleph, and Lamad. You can sit back and be paired to the strength of the shepherd, because she gave him over to Yahuwah. Yahusha had given himself over to Yahuwah. When you sit back and you say that you want to be a son of Elohim and be lent to Yahuwah, then you will have to do the same. Now, of course, it goes in that Hannah had a lot of children after this, quite a few. And he caused this barren woman to keep house, to make her a joyful mother of children. When we sit back and we're looking at it, and we're probably going to go and we need to cut it short right now. When we sit back and we look at it here, right, what we're discussing, we looked at 2 women whose wombs were barren, who Yahuwah opened their wombs. One who was old and her womb was dead. One who was not. But in regards to how it ends in Psalms 113, that he makes a barren woman to keep. The thing that you have to sit back and look at in relation to Psalms 113 is that it begins off with you giving esteem to Yahuwah that is rightfully due. But then it asks you, who is like Yahuwah? Who humbled himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth, and that he raised them up out of the poor, out of the dust, and lift the needy out of the dunghill, which this is also contained in 1 Samuel chapter 2 as well, this type of verbiage. So you see a resurrection of the dead, that he might take this man and set him with princes, even with the princes of his people. And then it goes to telling you how he makes a woman whose womb is closed. Remember, that word for prison was barren. Remember, when he went into that grave, so you have to sit back and look at it. Let's just look at it in this here. I want you to picture and visualize it in your mind. Yahusha is the seed is the word of Elohim. Yahusha is that seed. He was placed in a tomb where no man had ever been laid. So again, he resurrected from the dead the same way that he was conceived in Mary's womb. Because we don't know what I'm talking about. We heard he talking trash about, Yahusha being born of a virgin. Those of you who've been here for a while, and if we have to revisit it, we will revisit it, understands the purpose of why that seed had to be placed in an unpolluted womb. Dudes seem to know the law so well. When you look at the altar can't be struck with certain things that have been used before. The seed of Elohim cannot go into a polluted vessel. It's very simple to understand. I don't know why dudes don't understand that. It can't. That's why Yahusha was put into a sepulcher that no man had ever been in. If any dead body had ever been in there, then that grave is defiled. It's unclean. Therefore, you can't place that seed in there because he is the seed, because he's the word of Elohim. So he can't be placed in a polluted womb, which takes us right back to Adam, because that ground had not been tilled, and Yahuwah made Adam from the dust of the ground. And you know that word for ground is Adamah, which is likened to a woman. That's undefiled woman, because there was no man that tilled that ground. Therefore, no seed had ever been placed in that ground. Therefore, that ground had never been polluted. This is very simple to understand. I don't see why dudes cannot understand this if they say they know Yahuwah so well. So the same way that Adam was produced from virgin ground. The dudes always say, well, where's the virgin birth outside of Isaiah 7? Very easy to pick out. If you need Isaiah 7 to prove a virgin birth, you need to step your game. You need to do better. You know what I'm saying? And not do better to prove it right to other people, but to fully understand the way, the will, and the righteousness of your God. Screw niggas. They are irrelevant. You know what I'm talking about? So when you turn around and you look at it, you can go read John 19, if you will. That he was placed into a sepulcher that no man had ever been laid in. He had to be placed in that because that's a barren womb. It has never produced seed. That's why you see men resurrecting from the dead when he resurrected from the dead, which I told you, go back to what we were discussing about him giving birth. So you see that, right? Sarah's womb is barren and dead. Grave is barren and dead. Seed is placed into those barren wombs by promise. Similitude in the wine in what regard? By promise, and a son is produced. Now for Jerusalem can have her sons return, as you can see in Revelation, and she can be a joyful mother of sons, because Jerusalem, which is above, is the mother to us all. So therefore you have a multitude of sons, because now this barren woman is able to sit and abide in the house, which is the house of Elohim, or the Elohim and the Lamb are the temple of it, and that's where we abide. Very, very simple things to understand, but you who are willing, we will take off with that more in depth, because we got other things to tack onto it. So hallelujah for Yahushua the word. I appreciate your time this evening. Bless y'all out the house of Elohim, name of Yahushua. This way and understand, we got more to deal with, more to go over in this regard. Prayerfully, everybody get a good level of understanding. Correct. That's what it said. The water watered the ground, and the man, it's no different than semen. Absolutely. All the same, because the ruach is akin to water or breath. Just water, that word in there, with all that, it's all the same. But I think I'm gonna have to go pull those points out, you who are willing, in regards to why that her womb had to be unpolluted. I don't know why would Elohim go into a womb that had been ejaculated in? Like, come on, man. Matter of fact, praise the Lord. That's what we read earlier. Is anything too hard for you? I don't even see why dudes think that's difficult for him to pull off. This man made the heavens by a word, and you think that to get a woman pregnant without sexual intercourse is a difficult thing to do when I created the very person to begin with? Oh no, no, no. I mean, you can, but not in this regard. You come my son totally different. At least in regards to what we discussed. So but yeah, let that weigh out in your hearts and in your mind, man. You were willing to pick it up on the Shabbat, man. Again, I bless y'all, the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. And until the next time.